Hello everyone, welcome to today's lecture on morphology and functions of RBC, WBC and platelets. Myself today's presenter, Dr. Mausmi Shankaradala, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Biochemistry, St. Joseph's College for Women Autonomous, Visakhapatnam. This lecture is a part of the certificate course named General Physiology, which is run for a duration of 8 weeks for the graduate students studying between first year degree to third year degree. And this course is run by Department of Biochemistry, St. Joseph's College for Women Autonomous, Visakhapatnam. The contents include introduction of the topic, red blood cells introduction, the morphology of red blood cells, types, functions, white blood cells, their types and functions, platelets, and we'll be summing up at the end. An overview of the blood cells. There are majorly three main types of blood cells present. They are red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Each has unique structure and function. These are very much essential for the survival and maintaining the homeostasis condition in the body. Red blood cells, as we all are aware, right from our school days and plus two, these are commonly called as erythrocytes, and these are the most abundant blood cells of all the proportion in the blood. The main function of red blood cells is these are responsible for the transport of gases, namely oxygen and carbon dioxide. Whenever the oxygen combines with the hemoglobin, it forms oxyhemoglobin. This travels to the lungs where the oxygen is exchanged in the lungs to the carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide is produced through the tissues, is brought again by the blood, forming the carboxyhemoglobin. It reaches the lungs, and here in the lungs there will be an exchange between oxygen and carbon dioxide. Red blood cells, we have different morphologies. The main accepted morphology is these are biconcave in structure, that is, a concave shape is present on either sides. They are disc-shaped cells, and the diameter is about 7 to 8 micrometers. There will be an increased surface area which is required for the diffusion. The second type of morphology explains that there is no nucleus in the mammals and no major organelles present. And the main agenda of the red blood cells is they have a flexible membrane which is very much pretty useful for movement through the capillaries. Since the blood vessels are very narrow, so this morphology is useful for movement through the capillaries. Composition. Red blood cells contain a pigment called as hemoglobin. This hemoglobin is an iron containing pigment. We know about porphyrins. The ring structures comprises of this porphyrin. Hemoglobin, the heme and globin combination. Heme is a porphyrin. In the porphyrin, there will be a central metal atom. Here, the central metal atom is iron. So that is the reason there is a specific condition called as anemia. That is whenever they are having any iron deficiency, definitely the heme content will be low, and this ultimately reduces the red blood cells availability. Now, why the blood is red in color? This is mainly because of this porphyrin heme, which is an iron containing pigment. Functions of red blood cells: they transport the oxygen to the tissues and they transport the carbon dioxide to the lungs. They are very much useful for maintaining the pH balance, and efficient gas exchange is much needed for the survival of the organism. The lifespan of red blood cells is 120 days. Usually these are produced in the bone marrow. The process is called as erythropoiesis, and after 120 days, means on the 120th day, it will be destroyed in the liver and spleen. So the site where the red blood cells will be removed off is liver and spleen. And there will be continuous erythropoiesis going on, that is continuous replacement of new red blood cells occurs right from the birth to death. Why? Because red blood cells are mainly involved in the carrying of gases, that is oxygen and carbon dioxide, which plays a crucial role in respiration. Following red blood cells, the white blood cells occupy a major role. These are also called as leukocytes. They are involved in immunity. As we all know, immunity is nothing but the self-defense mechanism to protect from the invading pathogens, which may be virus, bacteria, parasites, whatever. Now, these white blood cells, they protect us against the infection. So that is the reason they form the first line of defense. Now, the white blood cells are larger than the red blood cells and they are irregular in shape. Whereas in contrast, red blood cells have a particular shape that is biconcave and they are non-nucleated, they are this shape. Whereas white blood cells are irregular in shape and also they contain a nucleus. So because of their irregular shape, their movement usually is pictured as amoeboid movement. So the white blood cells show amoeboid movement. Coming to the special features of white blood cells, they can leave the blood vessels and go to the site of action. That is where exactly the infection is occurring, where exactly the pathogen has entered. These white blood cells can leave the blood flow and go to that particular area of action. Why? Because as we have discussed before, this is the first line of defense. So definitely the white blood cells have to move to the site of action and this procedure is called as diapedesis movement. That is they move from one spot to the other one. So they move to the infection sites and they are very adaptable cells like based on the environment where exactly the infection needs to be treated, they adapt to that particular environment. Types of white blood cells. These are of two types mainly, based on the presence or absence of granule shaped structures. So they are granulocytes, agranulocytes. Granulocytes means these particular cells will contain the granules, whereas agranulocytes means these particular cells will not have any granules in them. So granulocytes main examples are neutrophils, eosinophils, and basophils. Whereas agranulocytes examples are lymphocytes and monocytes. Functions of white blood cells, the neutrophils are mainly involved in phagocytosis, that is the removal. They engulf the invading pathogens and they kill them. Eosinophils, usually their number we can find during allergies or any parasite infections. Basophils, these release the histamine during the inflammation. That is, whenever you get a hurt near the wound, you might see the surrounding area will be reddish in color. It's nothing but inflammation. The swelling occurs there, a light swelling, inflammation. Why? To protect our body, to protect from the invading pathogens, and this is contributed by the basophils. Whereas lymphocytes give the immunity. These are of two types of lymphocytes, T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. T lymphocytes invade, means they fight with the pathogens, whereas B lymphocytes produce the antibodies. And finally monocytes. Monocytes are nothing but macrophages. Macrophages also, they engulf the invading pathogens and kill them. Platelets, as we all know, platelets are also called as thrombocytes, and these are made by a cell fragments. The main agenda of the platelets is they are important for the clotting. They are small irregular fragments, and these are formed from megakaryocytes, and their lifespan is as less as 7 to 10 days, whereas for red blood cells it is 120 days. For the platelets it is only 7 to 10 days, and even platelets also does not carry any nucleus. Functions, as we already know, blood clotting, that is homeostasis maintenance. Blood clotting uh, has to be done. It is required for the survival of the organism. Why? Since blood main function, the major function of the blood is to carry oxygen and carbon dioxide. So whenever there is a wound, that is a rupture of your blood vessel, the bleeding occurs, the loss of blood occurs. So if there is a not if there is no cessation or there is no stop of this blood flow, if the blood loss occurs continuously, there will be an imbalance inside the body, that is the homeostasis condition will be affected. So the blood clot has to be formed, and this blood clotting means the stoppage of the blood flow, leakage of the blood from the blood vessels is called as blood clotting, and this occurs with the help of platelets only. So first they form a temporary platelet plug followed by a permanent plug, and this major plasma protein named as fibrinogen is involved in this, and release the platelet clotting factors also. They prevent the blood loss, and this helps in the tissue repair. Summing up, we have seen about the blood clotting, which is a homeostasis where the blood flow from the leaked blood vessels, means after getting a wound, it has to be stopped by the blood clotting procedure. The main important thing is the white blood cells are of five types: neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, and lymphocytes and monocytes. These all together will be under the impression of saving the first line. They include the first line of defense, so they will be releasing the antibodies, they will be invading the pathogens, they will go and release histamine for the inflammation, everything. So red blood cells contain hemoglobin, which is a major requirement for the oxygen carrying, and it is an iron containing pigment, and this gives red color to the blood. These are the references, both international and national. Just summing up quickly: Guyton and Hall textbook of medical physiology, Essentials of Medical Physiology by K. Sembalingam and Prema Sembalingam, and textbook of medical biochemistry and physiology by M. N. Chatterjee and Rana Shinde, and a review of medical physiology by Kim and Barrett. Thank you.